Hi everyone, this video is about campaign seasons and how they are run, just an overview of what kind of individuals you'd need to staff your campaign. I'm assuming in this scenario you're all running for president, so well played there. So you will need to hire a number of political strategists depending on the level of campaign that you're making. Now, if you are running a national level campaign, so you're running for president or you're the vice president on the ticket, or you're running a senatorial campaign for the United States Senate or the U.S. House, then that's considered a national level campaign. And you'll need a sophisticated campaign apparatus and staffing to help you win that particular seat that you desire. So you'll need some political strategists. Some people call them hired guns. It means the same thing, just depends on your stripe. So campaign managers, you need a campaign manager who is good at viewing the overall scope of the campaign. You don't need somebody who's going to get their fingers involved in every single little step. They're not the ones stuffing the flyers into the mailers, but they're the ones who need to know what groups to target, where to speak, what's going to be most effective in terms of your message. So they're responsible for the overall perspective, okay, guiding you forward. Fundraising specialists, you cannot win an election in the United States without money. It is a sad, sad truth, okay, of modern elections. So you need to have somebody who is available, or many somebodies who are available to raise money for you. Now that is done quite easily online. Before the 2008 election, which was the first time you had the option, people had to actually mail in a card with a check. And so that did take a little bit more effort. In 2008, then Senator Obama was the spearheader of using the internet to raise money. And for the first time, he made it easy for the public, and was able to really capitalize on smartphones, which had not really existed in prior elections. He was also younger and able to be a little bit more in touch with what was accessible for younger people. And for the first time, he hired younger campaign staffers, including fundraising specialists. So it wasn't just a group of, old dudes sitting around an old-fashioned office table. And so they set up a process where you could text whatever to whatever number, hope to 5409 or whatever, and that would donate $10. Okay, and $10 doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not. But a small donation, that donation type is the preferred style of donation for any style election. Yes, $10,000, that's fantastic. That's terrific. But $10,000 and $10, each of those amounts that are donated, comparatively, they still equal one vote, okay? That person who donated so much money can only still vote one time. And so lots and lots of very small donations look a lot better for candidates than you'd see of a donation type that's very, very large. So that's why candidates will always say, oh, my average donation was $30 or $24 or something like that, because that indicates more of a groundswell of support, which is something that is very helpful for campaigns. Now, pollsters, you can look at polling agencies if you are looking for general polls. Pew and Gallup are really good. AP and Reuters do really good stuff. Ipsos too. But as a campaign, you are going to want to have your own pollsters in-house so that they can find out exactly how you as a candidate need to present and what you're going to make as the focus of your campaign. And so they will work specifically for you to find out what's going on with your campaigning and how to improve it. Media consultants are a phenomenon of the modern presidential election. They've been around since the 1960s. President Kennedy, you can see him in the photograph. He's the taller of the two candidates. The other person is Nixon, President Nixon. President Kennedy was the first person to employ a media consultant, and he was roundly ridiculed for it. And also, it helped him win the election. Media consultants have become critical in modern elections because they help you present your best self, your most electable self. And so a media consultant can provide ways, it's not just your appearance, but they also help run your social media and make sure that the message that you are putting out is consistent with really the brand that you want to present. And so media consultants have become an essential element. We are transitioning from the age of television to the age of the internet, and that's in terms of how most people get their news, by the way. Most people who are older still use television, which is why we are still technically not fully in the age of the internet yet. That will change, of course, as the younger generation becomes dominant. But media consultants are designed to help get out that message. And now that we can see candidates, we are more critical of how they appear and how they sound and how they talk and how they look than we ever have been before. And that some of that is just a standard expectation. You don't want to see a candidate doing the Walmart run in their fuzzy bunny slippers and their outfit that'll get them on peopleofwalmart.com. We want to see somebody who's polished and professional. But another part of that is because we as society have certain expectations that are just part of who we are. It's part of our social background, that we expect candidates to look a certain way. We also have associations that are not necessarily ones we think about. Great example. In every election except for one, since 1960, the taller candidate has won the presidency. That's not something that's statistically possible in any other way, except that we are, in the back of our minds, associating power and height. In the one single election in which the taller candidate did not win the presidency. That was in 2000. That was Al Gore versus George Bush, and Al Gore was 6'3", George Bush 6'2". But Al Gore won the popular vote. Okay. Now, as we get women into the race, who are typically shorter than men, that may be changing, but that's been something that's extraordinarily significant. We don't think out loud, that guy's taller, I'm going to vote for him. But we do, as a society, tend to associate height with power. So media consultants will help you, even if you're not the tallest guy or lady, help you present yourself in your best fashion. Endorsements can be beneficial for you. An endorsement is a show of support from a political candidate, from a political figure or a major group. And so endorsements typically are welcome. You want endorsements from, say, generals, major military figures. You want endorsements from business owners who are going to say, hey, I support so-and-so's candidacy. I think this person is best in terms of helping businesses in the United States. You want endorsements from those groups that people tend to admire and those individuals that people tend to admire. And they can be very, very helpful. Spoofs. So we live in a world where satire is how many people get their election news. And so satirized news was really at its heyday about 10 years ago with the Colbert Report and the Daily Show. But still, a candidate is very likely to go on a late night talk show and kind of make fun of themselves, or have somebody on that show make fun of them. It's something that candidates like to do because we have, in the last few decades, really moved towards the concept of relatability. And so if you can go on TV and make fun of yourself, it's seen as being more like a regular person, and as opposed to being just this distant Washington politician, which is an image that no one really likes in modern elections. So spoofs can be very beneficial for your campaign. When I mentioned the Colbert Report just a few minutes ago, back in 2012, before the show went off the air, candidates who went on that show and were made fun of by Stephen Colbert, who was in character as his silly self, could count on a bump. It was called the Colbert Bump. And that meant that after you had an appearance on that show, you get a bump, 4 points, 5 points in the polls, which is huge, especially in a tight race. And so that's something that is very beneficial for candidates to do. We like to see that people have a sense of humor. And the beer, people are like, wait, what? So since the year 2000, a question has been asked on major polls, which candidate would you rather have a beer with? Politically, does it matter? Personality-wise, who's going to be more fun in a bar or at a party? No, it does not. But, like I said, relatability has become something that we are more and more focused on than ever before. And so the idea of which candidate would you rather crack open a cold one with, back in 2000, George Bush or Al Gore, George Bush was the winner there, became part and parcel of how we think about presidential elections and other elections as well. You want someone who's like us. And so that means that there are certain challenges. I call it the I versus E conundrum, introvert versus extrovert conundrum. So in every presidential election since 2000, we've had an introvert challenge an extrovert for the office of the presidency. And in every single election since 2000, the extrovert has won. That's because it's a lot easier for extroverts to campaign effectively and to really reach out and connect with people. Introverts, it's more challenging to do that. Would they be good in office? I mean, probably. Introversion and extroversion has nothing to do with your ability to do work, okay? But the last time we actually had an introvert president was, we last elected an introvert president in 1992. That's been a minute, okay? And that was George H.W. Bush, and he was following on the coattails of probably the biggest extrovert of all time, Ronald Reagan, okay? So in this time period, in this modern time period, the idea of let's have a beer with someone is really effective in terms of who we like to elect. Bizarre though it may be, that's where we are.